The Advance in Energy Transition Roundtable discussion held in collaboration with the World Bank, the Ministry of Power and Energy and the Ceylon Electricity Board provided a platform for discussing the country's energy transition.
We have sufficient potential to emerge as player in the field of renewable energy. It's also in line with Sri Lanka's commitment to achieve net zero. As I said, 2050 is too long. Let us try and see whether we can do it by 2040. And we are working on this. We have to work at what is the cost, when is it going to be attractive for private sector investments. But I note that India has already in its plans included the export of green hydrogen. Secondly is the new undersea cables that are coming on for power distribution. One is between Australia and Singapore. The other is between Singapore and India. Now Sri Lanka has the potential of connecting to the Indo-Singapore undersea cable. While looking at the users of green hydrogen, we feel that it will help us in the long run to become a logistics center for the region. But we have 3 ports, Trincomalee, which is close to the green hydrogen sources, Hambantota, in the south there is also green hydrogen available, and finally Colombo. We are also discussing with India land connectivity between South India and Sri Lanka, which means we also have the potential of reaching out into the South India. We are already discussing the power link connectivity between Sri Lanka and India. So all this falls into place. It is how do we use it. So we've got to work this out. But what we want from you all and the help is a plan for Sri Lanka to go ahead. That's where we have to call everyone in. We haven't the full expertise, I must admit. We need assistance from outside. So World Bank, ADB and others who are interested certainly would come in, because we are committed to a green economy and we want to go ahead. This in short is what Sri Lanka is planning to do.
It was less than 2 years ago, we will recall, that the sight of people lining up in every street corner for imported fossil fuels was much too common a sight in Sri Lanka. Today, Sri Lanka has set an ambitious goal of achieving self-sufficiency through renewables and becoming a regional leader in renewable energy by 2030. The goal is to source 70% of the country's electricity from renewable energy by 2030. The country also intends to achieve a carbon-neutral energy sector. However, private investment in the energy sector still faces financial risks. I humbly encourage all stakeholders, policymakers, development partners, and private sector leaders to recognize the pivotal moment we face and the need for joint action to chart a successful course forward.
One of the biggest challenges we have is the infrastructure development that is needed. We have identified renewable energy zones, particularly in the northern and the eastern parts of Sri Lanka. That is where we believe our potential is for solar, wind, onshore, offshore both, that we can utilize not just for our own domestic requirements, and as the President said, we are willing to share our energy with the regional countries as well. For that, the infrastructure needs to be developed. We had estimated earlier last year the investment that is needed for the infrastructure development in the north and east, especially combining the 9 backbone lines that needs to be integrated with the other transmission lines, is going to be somewhere around $6 billion in the next 6 years. So that is something that the government can't right now invest in terms of infrastructure. But we have proposed in the new reforms that we need to take into account these challenges and invite suitable investors even for the transmission line developments.